The tension in the room was palpable. Each word, laden with resentment, cut through the air like sharp blades. My sister, her eyes sparkling with indignation, hurled her accusations with great ferocity. Her lips trembled with rage, her words resonating like thunder in my mind. And then, as an even more painful blow, came my parents' agreement, their gazes yielding to the accusation, consenting to the sentence delivered. "Get out of here." The order came like a final verdict, piercing my heart with searing pain. "You're a lazy person who works from home." The words echoed in my mind like a scar that refused to heal. The feeling of being a stranger in my own home was overwhelming. My own sister, my family, agreeing to the sentence of expulsion. A mix of indignation and despair consumed me, fueling the flame of a previously dormant anger. "Leave." The words sounded like a challenge, a provocation that demanded a worthy response. And then, amidst the storm of emotions, a decision took shape in my mind. If they wanted to banish me, if they saw no value in my presence, then I would do whatever it took to prove them wrong. A spark of determination ignited my spirit, fueling the flame of a revenge that burned with increasing intensity. I decided it was time to turn the tables, to show them that their words wouldn't break me, but would instead make me stronger. It was time for me to take my revenge, not with sharp words, but with actions that would resonate beyond the walls of that room, marking the beginning of a turnaround that would change everything.
Hey guys, welcome to our channel.
My name is Michael Bennett, and I am the protagonist of this story. Over a decade ago, my life took an unexpected turn when I came home and was shocked by the news that my wife, Elizabeth, was kicking me out. Although our relationship was far from perfect, I never imagined we'd reach that point. But the biggest blow came when I was served with a restraining order that barred me from returning home without written permission, issued by my own wife. To make matters worse, I was prohibited from seeing my children without authorization for a long and painful 90 days. It was a devastating blow. Lost and disoriented, a relative referred me to a lawyer named Rachel, a true bulldog in law. With her sharp mind and direct approach, she explained that contesting the restraining order was the best course of action, but warned that the process would take time, and that I probably wouldn't see a judge before the 90 days were up. Her advice was clear. Strictly following the court order was crucial, as any slip-up could make my legal battle even more difficult if Elizabeth decided to renew the order. As for the reason behind the restraining order, Elizabeth claimed threats to her safety and the children's, even though I had never raised a hand against her or my kids. It was a false and absurd accusation, a desperate attempt to keep me away from the house and our children, while she figured out her next move. And that made me more determined than ever to prove my innocence and fight for the right to be present in my children's lives. Over the next few months, while I anxiously awaited my chance to defend myself before a judge, I was forced to face the painful reality of my situation. Meanwhile, Elizabeth, confident in her legal maneuver, seemed determined to maintain her position, unconcerned about the devastating impact it was having on me and the children. My journey was just beginning, and I knew the road ahead would be long and full of obstacles. But I was determined to face each challenge head-on, because my fight wasn't just for justice, but for the fundamental right to be present in my children's lives. Life's irony decided to toy with me in surprising ways. My ex-wife Elizabeth, the same woman who had obtained a restraining order to keep me away from home and our children, suddenly found herself desperately needing my help to take care of the kids. Fate, often ironic, places us in situations we never expect to face. I was staying at a friend's house, so I had no place to take them. We agreed that I would watch them at the house. I waited a few blocks away, waiting for an email. My ex called me, and I reminded her of the order's details, that I wouldn't go over until I had written permission, as required by the court order she had requested herself. This happened twice more. I waited a few blocks away, waiting for the permission email to come. It never did. I then told her I wouldn't leave my friend's place until I got the email. I wouldn't step into the house without the written permission. I messaged her the next day to remind her, but still no email. We were planning for me to pick up the kids and take them to school, as their school was just minutes from my workplace. However, because I never received the written permission, I ran out of time to pick them up, drop them off at school, and get to work. This situation infuriated Elizabeth,
There
But I
are
was
invisible
determined.
scars that shape lives. Abuse steals your peace, but not your strength. Breaking the Cycle of Abuse is an interactive guide where you'll find powerful tools to identify the signs of abuse, understand the dynamics of violence, find shelter and legal and psychological support, plan a safe exit from a harmful environment, overcome trauma and rebuild your self-esteem. Start your journey of healing and transformation now for just $9.60.
Elizabeth. But I was determined to follow the rules set by the system she had invoked. Time passed, and while I patiently awaited the necessary permission, Elizabeth began to panic. Her inability to send the authorization in time caused a significant delay, putting her in a tough spot with her work commitments. The irony of the situation was not lost on me, as things grew increasingly complicated for her. This twist of events showed that sometimes life has a peculiar way of teaching valuable lessons. While I stood firm in my commitment to follow the rules of the restraining order, Elizabeth was dealing with the consequences of her own actions, a situation she had created herself. Later, she wanted to grant me a blanket permission to come and go as I pleased, but my lawyer advised against it, sticking to the court order. The culmination of this torturous saga came a few weeks later, when my ex-wife once again forgot to send the written permission. The day began like so many others, with the frantic routine of getting ready for our daily commitments. However, this time, an unexpected element came into play. Elizabeth's boyfriend, a man she had started seeing even before our separation, was staying at our house that night. The irony of the situation wasn't lost on me, as he now found himself in the same position I had been in earlier, powerless under the terms of a court order. To make matters worse, he didn't have a car that day. It was in the shop, if I remember correctly, meaning both of them were stuck at home, unable to fulfill their work commitments. The situation reached a critical point when I discovered that Elizabeth's boyfriend was her direct supervisor at their workplace, Company X, a fact that had been kept secret until then. There was no longer enough time for her to send the email, and for me to complete my tasks and get to work on time. Desperate to resolve the impasse, they had to call a coworker, who was off that day, to pick up the kids and take them to school. However, what they didn't anticipate was that this coworker was an incurable gossip, eager to share the juicy details with the rest of the office. Within days, rumors spread like wildfire, reaching the ears of the directors at Company X. The relationship between my ex-wife and her boyfriend became the center of attention, and the consequences were devastating. Within a week, the boyfriend was fired for violating the company's policies on conflicts of interest and workplace relationships, as he was her direct supervisor. Meanwhile,